I have news to break to you in the meantime.
Oh, tell me.
You know what I'm gonna do for my for a couple of days?
Can I guess?
What?
You're gonna learn how to make cheese, but like the cheese that's from the spray can. So like you're gonna go take a course on how to make like disgusting. What is that? Cheese whiz. You're gonna learn how to make like not like a gourmet manchego, but you're gonna learn how to make cheese whiz, like easy cheese, in your own kind of compression cans, and it's gonna cost you so much money that they're gonna tell you that like you have a natural talent and you could be like a cheese whiz king, and you should just put like 1,000 down, and then you can get the next course. And you're gonna fall for
it. I feel like you're maybe using podcasting as a metaphor here, or this easy cheese is a metaphor for podcasting.
So what are you gonna do?
It's probably gonna make you mad. I'm going to meet up with Becky in LA and take it by storm for 3 days.
No.
Can you hear me?
Oh my God! Get out!
Yeah.
What are you talking about? You guys are just like gonna go on a road trip?
I know. I was gonna break it to you more softly. I feel like coming on the heels of our last.
They're gonna maybe go to the movies, go for some walks, watch some shows. I just asked
Wait, how long have you been planning this?
No, like I texted Becky like, well, Allie went to the bathroom yesterday.
No, like literally, I was like, oh, my brother wants to go to LA with me for 2 days. That's awesome. I'm definitely gonna do it. Oh, he booked a hotel. All right, yeah, okay.
I move quickly when I'm like.
I know. Do I sound crackly?
No, you sound great.
Okay. No, you sound like you're leaving me out. What?
It sounds like.
Okay.
How?
Okay, like I feel like Becky's coming to visit me in June, and like your guys visiting in LA is making me like if I was you, I'd be like, oh, I'm jealous. But Becky visiting me for like a few weeks in June, I'm more jealous than you should be.
We should get tickets to the Tig Notaro show that night.
I'm gone. I'm out of this episode.
So this episode is now going to be the
Why don't you do your girlfriend planning when I'm not on the phone?
Well, don't you didn't want to be on this episode anyway, Shai and I could just plan our vacation together.
Yep, pretty much. Are you guys sharing a room?
Yeah,
just like the night before his wedding, when you were also left out.
Well, I mean, have you told me like a year in advance I could go?
And welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcasts. The three siblings are here today, catching up. It's been a while, I think, since all three of us have been together on the podcast. So, tossing it over to Lily in the Canary Islands. How are you?
I'm good. It's late at night on Sunday night. We just changed our hour. We just had the daylight savings.
So you haven't? So you're just sitting down for dinner at 1 a.m.
I mean, something to that effect, but what's really funny is that I feel like this wouldn't happen in the States. We had this big, like, friends, kids group get-together today, and it was about, like, a half hour away from the city, like, in this beautiful farm, and it was set for a certain time, and there's about 13 families in the chat, and every single one was like, oh, shit, it's not that time. It's an hour later, and everybody was an hour late because it was daylight savings, and nobody knew. I feel like that's something that people are more on top of.
Were they an hour
don't
late
your phones automatically change time?
But once everybody woke up, it was like too late. And like got organized.
They need a lot of time to get organized.
I'm pretty sure you texted at around 4 or 5 p.m. your time, being like, we're at this amazing brunch, and I'm like, 5 p.m. brunch. Yeah. I just want to make sure that that's clear. So I don't know how
it started at like 1 and ended at 6 p.m. But anyways, so yeah. But I'm good.
Becky, calling in from California. How are you?
I gotta tell you, the last 2 days, things are picking up around here. Baby is sleeping more. As listeners know, we've been struggling with that in my house. Had a beautiful surf day yesterday. Went down to Santa Cruz. Got in a really good session.
Do you put like a floaty on the baby and sort of like strap her to the front of the surfboard, or does she stay on land?
No, she stays on land. First of all, this water is like below freezing temperatures. It's inhuman. Even with a wetsuit, it's still painful. But she kind of just went just in like her diaper and ran around on the beach and like got her little like thighs in the surf in the water, and she was loving it. So that was cute. But it's very cold water.
Have you ever had your kid's diaper get so wet from water, like not like their own wetness, but like from playing? No, but from playing in the water, that like it just becomes like it almost turns inside out from being so heavy.
Well, I've had where like I'm worried my kid will drown because of his diaper. The floaties aren't doing enough. So it's just sinking them.
So we had a great beach day, and I think she's still exhausted from it today because she napped like a champ today. So so we're doing well.
Cool.
Feels good over here. And Shai, did you have a good weekend?
Oh, whoa, asking me how I'm doing. This is bold.
Very bold of you, Becky.
Bold to do it at the beginning. Well, Allie and I are celebrating our 11th wedding anniversary this weekend, and we had a romantic getaway inside our city that we live. The kids were taken out of town. Yeah, our staycation. This is something I feel like I've truly mastered. We had Indian food for dinner on Friday night.
I want to know all about it. What did you order? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was amazing. I completely forget the name of the place, but it's kind of a newer place. I had a chicken tikka sampler, which was a winner, which was like 3 lumps of delicious, moist but not gooey chicken shoulders, and we shared that. We also got a chutney sampler, which essentially kind of played out.
Oh, this is like my nightmare.
It played out.
I feel like you're in America when every order is a sampler.
Oh, that is true. I ordered a tikka sampler and a chutney sampler. You're right. And
we love a good sampler situation. It's true. It's a little of that.
It could have been
a situation where you could sample the beverages.
It could have been the Unos of Indian food. I don't know. Anyways, so then we got the chutney sampler, which was kind of like getting a nacho tower with little different non-bread crispy things, and then like 7 or 8 different chutneys. And then the big pièce de résistance, the thing that I really loved, was they made a vegan biryani, which is like, it's kind of like, reminds me of, it's like arroz con pollo in a way for India, but instead of the goat, which would normally be in it, they used something called jackfruit, which I've never had before in my life.
Oh, jackfruit is like the new vegan thing.
It's you know what? It's legit.
Because they were like, nobody's ordering if there's goat in it in DC.
It was a funny thing in that the waiters kept trying to get me to order things I didn't want. Like they gave me good advice, but they were like, no, get the one with the goat. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna try this jackfruit. Let's see if it can stand up to the.
Yeah, they say it's like a real good meat replacement.
It is I have no idea if it has protein. It could just be like a giant potato, but it absolutely texture-wise was perfectly fine for a meat replacement. And I've only had biryani twice in my life, both times, by the way.
Love a biryani situation.
I've figured out that is definitely my favorite Indian food dish. So that was terrific. We, what did we do? Oh, we went to see Captain Marvel, which I'll talk about during the show. And then we went out to Baltimore and saw.
You're really getting a play-by-play of your weekend. I'm so glad that you asked.
And we went to see.
I'm riveted.
So we went to see So Fetch, the 2000s cover band that
all of the
tribute
things
band.
I did include recommendations. Food recommendations.
Exactly.
Movie recommendations. Music recommendations.
Let's be clear. My wife has not caught on that our anniversary weekend provided me all of my research for the podcast for this week.
Also, I really feel like this is a wonderful hybrid. Like, if people want to know you and Allie, this description of a night really sounds like the two of you coming together to plan a perfect night weekend.
And we walked a ton. I mean, we took like 28,000 steps yesterday, and
oh my God, you sound so old when you say that.
Yeah, and the thing about the tribute band is Allie doesn't
not like coolness of this podcast. down.
Allie does not always love when I make her go see like Fish or some Canadian band she's never heard before, but these musicians in So Fetch are phenomenal musicians. Kathy D, who is a musician we've gotten to know, who's awesome. She is she's one of the singers, and so it's this great live band, but they're playing all songs Allie knows. So Allie is like super happy. She doesn't care if it's
covers. I mean, that's very exciting.
She doesn't care if it's like the famous, actual famous people. Frankly, a lot of the versions of the songs they did are better than the real ones because these guys like have a real hard rock edge. Anyways, we danced till like 1 a.m. Super fun.
Whoa, that's like 6 a.m. American time.
Yeah, for you, exactly. So
yeah,
we had a terrific time. Someone said to us something funny about how it's our 11th anniversary. Oh, they don't make an 11-year anniversary card. I said, no, but you know what? The movie Spinal Tap is what I think about. And I kept thinking to myself, this marriage goes to 11.
No.
Wouldn't that be a great card?
And a card.
Yeah, wouldn't that be
But like past 11.
Yeah,
also,
I guess past
hopefully.
11. Right. It doesn't go only stop to 11.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
So let's use this opportunity to catch up. What have you guys been watching? Lil?
Well, I did not know that there was like a whole sub-community of Viking shows that people are into.
Josh Crew, our dear friend Josh Crew.
Viking show. There's multiple Viking shows.
But these
The
days
Last
I'm
Kingdom,
not
Vikings, Viking Kingdom.
The Norse people, something. There's some other one.
Okay, so let's just be clear. There's a whole subcategory of just Viking shows, none of which we know the titles of.
No, because the titles are hilariously generic. Every time I ask Josh Crew for a recommendation of a show to watch, he gives me watch The Last Kingdom, Vikings, or another show. Meaning and I'm like, well, which one? He's like, they're all the same, but I really like them.
Right. So our dad is like, very, how do I say,
about his recommendations?
Passionate. That's an excellent.
And he loves a good epic. He loves a good
Oh,
epic.
yeah. He is very passionate. When he likes something, you will know it, and you'll get like the full explanation. And so while he was here with Mom, we actually watched the whole 2 weeks that they were here. We watched Umbrella Academy. And every single time we turn on an episode, he was like, you should really watch The Last Kingdom. But I was like, no, Mom really just wants to rewatch Umbrella Academy with us. So, classic Mom, she rewatched the whole thing. And I'll get to that in a second. But when they left, we were like, so I guess we should just keep brainwashed us for 2 weeks. So as soon as they left, we had nothing to watch, and we were just like, I guess we should just watch The Last Kingdom because that's what Dad said to do. And it's good. It's like Outlander meets Game of Thrones. If
it was about Vikings.
If it was about Vikings, it's a lot less soap opera-y. There's a lot of action. It moves really fast. So it's only like seasons 6 and 7 of Game of Thrones, and not like the whole thing.
And like 4 of the episodes.
Exactly.
I tried to watch one of those shows, and there was just to do laying down under the stars, looking at the sky for 15 minutes.
That's not The Last Kingdom. That one is finally, and it moves pretty fast, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm enjoying that. If you're into that kind of show, then you might have a little soft spot. I said to Shai, I was like, well, if you're kind of waiting for Game of Thrones, or when Game of Thrones ends, you miss that kind of thing, this is a good show. And Shai's like, I will not miss it. I just want it to end.
It's true. That's where I am with Game of Thrones. I have been on board since the first episode, but I'm ready for it to be over. I'm not interested in spin-offs. It's taken long enough. Just let's get to find out who's on the throne, and let's move on. If they leave it as a cliffhanger, I'm done.
I feel like Dad made me appreciate the fact that watching something like Last Kingdom, this stuff kind of really happened in a way. You know what I mean? These people are historical figures, so that's kind of fun if you're into history and stuff. So that's what we're knees deep in now. We finished Umbrella Academy. Adorable.
Adorable,
I will watch more of that show.
Extremely violent, I would say.
I don't feel like it's that violent. Maybe you watch a bunch of Vikings kill each other.
No, I feel like it's the type of premise that it's comic booky enough that makes you think it's for kids, and then you watch it and you go, this is not for children.
No, it's not for kids, but I feel like teens could watch it.
Sure.
But I thought it was great. I thought the acting was fun. I mean, it's silly.
Don't you love how Canadian some of the actors are?
Some of the actors are very Canadian. It's like nostalgic.
All of them, actually. They're all, except for Mary J. Blige. How weird is it that she's in that show?
She does a great job.
I love Mary J. Blige.
The guy,
I love her. Not saying I don't love her.
Fantastic. The guy that was in Mindhunter.
That response like miscalibrates what I said.
Oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. You weren't complaining. You just think it's random that she's in this show.
She and Ellen Page star in a show together.
Huh? Ellen Page is in Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, she's.
I haven't seen her in a while.
That's why I started it, because I was like, I like Ellen Page. I'd be curious to see what she's doing these days.
I feel like exactly. I was like, she's in it. She's got enough street cred to get me to watch her show.
By comparison, I'll say I have not watched it yet, but I'm very, very into Deadly Class now. And
you're gonna like Umbrella Academy too.
I'm sure I'll like Umbrella Academy. It's the same.
Is that like the same way? There's lots of Viking shows. There's lots of shows about teen assassins.
Teens with like powers who try to kill each other. That kind of thing.
Everybody has a show about a school that isn't X-Men right now. Or teenagers with powers.
That's 100%. Yeah, exactly.
I think it is becoming. We talked about this recently, right? Like everyone has a Fire Festival documentary. In some respect, like Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, like there was this mystique around them, and now they're just becoming like normal makers of pop culture that do lazy things and copy each other. And
right, which is why you'll always have the HBOs and the Showtimes. Right.
Speaking of which, I could talk about what I've been watching, but I think right now I'm just getting very, very excited for a couple of shows to premiere.
Oh, go for it.
We record
Wait, is Lily done? You done, Lil?
I mean, I could keep going, but we can come back to me. Let's
circle back. Tonight, the day we record this, is the Veep. Veep is going to be
the last season.
And this is the end of Veep, right?
This is it.
Yeah, the last season. I am so excited. I mean, I love everything about that show. So that's tonight, and then in a couple weeks we have Game of Thrones coming back, and it's like we're starting that springtime TV show resurgence, which then leads into the summer where we get Stranger Things coming back.
Wait, I want to just pause on that for a sec. Doesn't it always premiere around Halloween? I feel like kind of disappointed it's in the summer.
No, I think it's always in the summer.
The first season was definitely around Halloween. And I thought the second season was also
in the summer together. No, it was definitely the summer because we watched it at that Poconos house in the summer, and it had just come out. Well, anyways,
just imagine it being so like fall.
Listen, this show is not about the fact.
I feel like some shows have a season.
Okay. So doesn't matter.
Keep going.
And also, there's a difference between when things premiere and when I watch them. I associate Stranger Things with watching it in the summer. Okay.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Was it? Maybe it's not coming back this summer.
You're right.
Wrong.
I think.
Wow.
No, it is July 4th. No, you're right. No, it is July.
So right now I'm getting really excited for a few new shows, for a few old shows to be coming back with new seasons. That's where I'm at.
Okay. And what of those shows? What are things? What of those things? What are you most excited to see happen?
Well, with Veep, it's hard to say. I think truly one of my favorite, my Julia Louis-Dreyfus is on another plane, so I can't even count her as watching what she does. But Gary, what's his name, who plays him?
Tony Hale. I love watching the evolution of his relationship with Selena, and kind of like the weirder it gets, the more insight you have into them and their strange codependency, but then as he tries to assert himself and be independent of her. So I'm always curious to see in like the next season what kind of like weird thing are we going to learn about their relationship next. Well, apparently they released the first blooper ever. You've never seen any like gag reel of the show on, I don't know if she was on Seth Meyers or Colbert, one of the late night shows, and she showed the blooper, and it's Tony Hale gets sick and Selena cooks for him and like brings him food, and it's inedible.
I remember that from this.
And she showed the blooper of the two of them, and apparently, like, I just was watching something on Instagram where the entire rest of the cast was like, they can't even be, if they get within a certain amount of feet of each other, they break like automatically. Like they just can't handle how funny each other is. Like if she gets too close to his face, like they can't film the scene.
That's amazing. I haven't watched a recent season in a while, but this makes me want to get back on.
So their dynamic is really one of my favorite things on television, and watching that evolution. So that's what I'm most excited about. And for Game of Thrones, I mean, who's going to sit on the Iron Throne? You know, the siblings reunited. You know, that's pretty exciting to see. Curious to find out what the reaction will be when Daenerys and Jon Snow realize they're
aunt and nephew,
very closely related. I bet they're gonna be like, whatever. It's not
whatever. That's what I was talking to somebody about that the other day. They're like, that's not the biggest deal of this season that's coming. I was like, it isn't. They're like, no.
It's also not the most incestuous thing to happen on
the show.
So yeah. And then
I just feel like wait, for Game of Thrones, just real quick. We don't have to do theories and stuff. There's so many podcasts and stuff about that. I had a question: happy ending or sad ending? Just go.
It's going to be bittersweet. It'll be like, it'll be,
sad, and Becky was saying
I think it'll be bittersweet. I think it'll be the type of ending where it's what people were fighting for, and then they get to what they were fighting for, and that you kind of realize it's not worth it. It's like in vain.
So I just like full sad.
Yeah, I think it'll be full sad. What I want to happen, I've said many times, is I want them to realize that they have to have use the dragons to just melt that throne down and decentralize the government and go into a sort of modern state system where Winterfell is its own independent area and King's Landing is its own place, and have a little bit of more democracy.
Like throwing the ring in the
I think it's
but realistically, what will happen is that it's going to not become about who holds the Iron Throne anymore, and it'll just be about defending against the White Walkers.
Right.
And that'll become like secondary.
I mean, and the White Walkers at this rate look like they're just going to like devour everyone.
Decimate
There's not much. There's not much.
Yeah.
People.
So losing battle. But so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Things that I'm watching, I'm bouncing a little bit all over the place. I will say I've gotten into Sabrina per your recommendation. Oh, the other one I'm excited for. Sorry, Killing Eve is coming back for its second season. It'll be like, it's premiering sometime in the next week or two. So excited for Killing Eve. But yeah, I've gotten into Sabrina per your recommendation. It's definitely like scary, but can't be scary. I'm surprised at how much I like it because it's not
I assumed you just watched it when we talked about it so much.
I think I watched the first episode and now I'm back into it, but it's definitely a show I have to watch solo. Like, I'm not watching this with Vlad. Yeah, so I am enjoying that. But mostly, like I said, I'm in this place where I'm very excited for favorites to come back.
Very cool.
Well, I'm excited about sorry, we should let Shai go.
No, I'm interested in what you have to say. I'll say what I have to say.
I'm excited about like favorites, but I'm particularly excited about a show that I think is not a favorite. And I feel like I have these random shows that I watch and no one else watches.
Probably what?
I'm not the OA. Nobody has ever watched that show but me.
But I know a lot of people who who they use OA as like their off-season Stranger Things. But has there been more than one season of the OA?
The second one just came out.
I just really did not understand.
Weren't even sure there was ever going to be a second one.
I just didn't I actually stopped watching it because I genuinely didn't understand it. But I know other people who watched it.
I like it. I like a show where like the actress, kind of like the letdown. The actress is the writer and producer, or you know what I mean? Like they're personally involved in the whole project. That usually catches my eye, and Britt Marling, it's her project. So I was intrigued enough. So I'm definitely going to have to watch the second season. And I really want to see A.D. Bryant's Shrill.
Oh, I want to watch that.
I don't have
I saw the first episode of Pen 15 on...
Is that...
What's it on? Netflix? Hulu? I don't know what it's on. I saw the first episode of Pen 15. It was excruciating to watch. I was rotating between laughing and like cringing and not able to watch the TV show. But it's basically these two women who are our age playing seventh graders in the year 2000. So like I would have been in maybe 10th grade at that point. So it's exactly my high school experience, you know, except they're a couple years younger in this show. And it is the only reason why I think I'm able to watch it for how painful it is because they are adults pretending to be in the 7th grade, which makes it hilarious and amazing. But I don't know that I can keep watching it because it's too much of a mirror of like a window into the high school. It's just
but not like
the
not like
way.
Freaks and Geeks where it's like
Nope,
insightful.
Nope, like the worst part of the late 90s. Like the worst part.
I don't know. But I feel like, Shai, you really need to write down a few shows here to catch up on so we can do, like, you need to see Umbrella Academy and Russian Doll.
Wait, hold on.
So we can,
why can't you watch the shows I'm watching?
What are you watching?
Becky already watches Riverdale.
Is anyone watching Deadly Class? Riverdale,
yeah,
though,
I watched Deadly Class. We did a whole bit on it.
I'm saving a whole stack. No one's watching The Rookie, starring Canadian national treasure.
You are. That's one person.
No, Allie and I love that show. Believe me, this is an old person show. This is a show for mom, 100%. This is like, but it is adorable and super light and borderline fantasy, in the sense that like it is a police show. So if The Shield is about like the hard-hitting horrors, or The Wire, a hard-hitting horrors about like the criminal justice system, this is like the opposite. But Nathan Fillion is what makes it awesome. The actual substance of the show is ridiculous. And Alyssa Diaz, who was in the Ray Donovan, the woman who marries Bunchy, who is the luchador? Yeah. She plays one of the main police officers in The Rookie, and she is amazing. So she and Nathan Fillion really elevate what is a very, very, I would say, vapid show. They elevate it because they are extremely charming, and it's like just like a fun thing. It's filling our Lethal Weapon itch. But I'll report on some other things that I've been watching. So we went to see Captain Marvel, starring Brie Larson and
what was your reaction?
Samuel L. Jackson. And my reaction is, first of all, I thought Brie Larson was extremely charming in the role, and it seemed like they went out of their way with the marketing to make her look more serious than she was in the movie. Part of the issue is that she's a person sort of out of time and space, so she's a little bit awkward on Earth, and that's part of what's humor. But her character actually has a really funny, sarcastic sense of humor, and that part was fantastic in the movie, and she by far was the most compelling, interesting part of that movie. So A, Brie Larson, terrific. B, Ben Mendelsohn as the villain. Marvel has had a hard time with villains in the movie, in their
Ben
movies.
Mendelsohn elevates everything he's in.
Everything.
I didn't get a chance to watch Bloodline, but
I
love him.
They brought in Ben Mendelsohn to play a character. This is sort of a race of beings, that new race of beings that's introduced called the Skrulls, and Marvel has typically had these really two-dimensional villains, and Ben Mendelsohn really elevated that part and the complexity of that villain in the story, and I thought that was a really nice twist and save. So as opposed to when they dump Anthony Hopkins into like Thor, and they're like, it's now serious because Anthony Hopkins is here.
Right.
I felt like Ben Mendelsohn actually really took the role really seriously, the same way he did in Rogue One, and made it a lot of fun. So the two of them were absolute bright spots, and Samuel L. Jackson is in it quite a bit as his younger self because it takes place in the 90s, and he and Brie Larson, I thought, had a really good, almost like buddy cop chemistry. It was like anyways, it is by no means a necessary movie for all of the Marvel movies, and it is by no means the best of the Marvel movies. It's, I would say, in the middle of the pack. It's not one of the atrocious ones. It's a good one, but it's not.
Will Captain Marvel appear in Endgame?
So the most important thing about seeing Captain Marvel is that right away before it, there's a trailer for Endgame, and she's in the trailer, and the movie Captain Marvel ends with a scene from Endgame.
So what you're telling me is that I just need to watch the trailer for Endgame with her in it, and then the after credit scene.
So do you know the final after credit?
Buy a ticket. Go watch the movie. Go watch the trailer. Go see a different movie.
And
come back.
For the end? Well, so the thing is that at the end of the movie, at the end of the previous Avengers movie, when Samuel L. Jackson uses that pager to page, so he's paging Captain Marvel. This is the backstory to their relationship and why she's awesome, and
why she's not around.
And why she's not around. There's a legitimate explanation as to why she hasn't been around, and
because they hadn't made Wonder Woman yet and didn't think that woman could headline a movie.
So what's interesting about this? So I want to dive into the Wonder Woman thing and a female-led superhero movie. So
before you dive in, I want to ask a question so that it informs this answer a bit, which is that one of the criticisms I heard is that with Wonder Woman, because it was directed by a woman, you really feel the female perspective, and that with Captain Marvel
on our podcast.
Was it Casey who said that
Casey
she felt that part
yeah.
of the movie felt like it was directed by a dude and part of it felt like it was directed by a woman?
Yeah, and I'm curious, if you saw those things.
So here's my Wonder Woman's first 2 acts are phenomenal. It's, in my view, some of the best superhero movie stuff. The 3rd act, I don't know if you guys remember the 3rd act when she's fighting Remus Lupin, who turns out to be like some weird mist bad guy. To me, that part is like super irrelevant to the rest of the movie, but Gal Gadot is so great as Wonder Woman, and the sort of choices that Wonder Woman make is what powers that movie forward.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, I actually thought, through all 3 or acts, whatever, through all 3 sections, kept a level of evenness among them, of goodness, that I liked. I enjoyed its last act. Its last act was a little bit different than what you would normally expect from a Marvel movie, even though I predicted everything that was in it. It was fun. And it made more sense with the rest of the story. It wasn't just a random twist. But I will say that as far as I can't tell you what I felt was directed by a man versus a woman in the movie, but I'll say there are parts of Captain Marvel that were just so much part of the Marvel formula that basically I walked away from it being like, okay, that was an above average superhero movie. There should be as many great female-led superhero movies as there are average. Like, the ratio should be the same, meaning how many crappy male-led superhero movies are out there? Why does this one have to be perfect and amazing to justify more female-led superheroes?
No, yeah,
she's a good character. She's a really great actress. She does a great job. They absolutely earn her right to be in Avengers. To me, rather than to put the burden on a female-led superhero movie of all of them have to be Wonder Woman is kind of what I walked away from it being like why would why shouldn't there just be more female-led superhero movies? In fact, what really has come out of this for me is that Brie Larson, so if you take Brie Larson, the woman who played Shuri, whose name escapes me right now, from Black Panther, the woman who plays the captain of the guard, who's from Walking Dead, if you took those 3, added in Scarlett Johansson and Tessa Thompson.
Letitia Wright.
Letitia Wright. And then you add in Tessa Thompson from Thor. I would much rather watch that Marvel superhero movie than any of
Well, those are some of the
other
best
things.
characters.
Well, and what's interesting about all of them is they're all female characters that came in the later era of the Marvel movies. Except for Scarlett Johansson, who came on pretty early. But in general, they never committed to just spending the time.
Yeah, and her character and role is really breathtaking. Really moves the story along.
Black Widow?
I can't think of a single thing she does in these movies except give a little wink to Hulk.
If you see the Winter Soldier and in Civil War, she's especially important in those movies. But my point is that they compare them to Gwyneth Paltrow's kind of lame Pepper Potts character.
Right.
So I think that overall what this says to me is let's not make a big deal about it, but yeah, there should be more female. Oh, and I'll add in Karen Gillan and Zoe Saldana, also great female characters. I feel like Marvel has now established enough really good ones that we don't need another Ant-Man movie. I like Ant-Man. I like Paul Rudd.
No, but it's 100% right.
Let's have 2 Ant-Man movies.
I love Paul Rudd. I couldn't even make it through the first Ant-Man movie.
I want a Bridesmaids with all the female side characters from the Marvel movies.
I want them. I
want them to go to somebody's bachelorette.
No, I don't want them. I'd love to have them just save a universe or a planet or something. I think so that's where I come down on it. I definitely recommend it. It's super fun. It's super, just a fun popcorn movie overall. And I think it'll be worth. It's worth leading up. The other thing we watched is the new show Abby's, which stars Natalie Morales and Neil Flynn,
who's from Parks and Rec, right?
She played Tom's girlfriend,
love interest.
And I'm gonna keep giving it a try. It so far felt like a traditional sitcom, but I can live with that. Everybody who's in it is funny.
One more show I haven't seen yet, but I think it just came out. Is they've now done a TV series of What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh,
which
right.
is
I heard about that.
And
really want to see that.
And Tacoma FD, which is two of the guys from Super Troopers playing firemen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some great stuff happening right now.
So I'm going to be watching that, and I'll just say this because we talked about Neil Flynn. Allie and I are still making our way through the middle. We're on season 5. And I'm just telling you, eventually, this is going to be an I told you so moment. Eventually, you guys will get through this show, and you will realize how great it is. And I will get I told you so from both of you.
I don't think it's not great.
No, but
I just don't have time to watch.
You haven't gotten through it yet. You will, and specifically, Eden Rebecca Scher, the actress who plays Sue Heck.
Yes, we know.
Love her.
That is close to Leslie Knope. Awesome.
If we put together the number of times you've discussed Sue Heck on this show, it would be its own podcast.
The Sue Heck.
All right. And with that,
I just want to say quickly, we mentioned all these things coming back and forth and everything. Queer Eye is back. And
Queer Eye.
They really brought it around because season 2... they paid attention.
It's on another level.
Season 2 was like a bit. It was okay. It wasn't
savoring
great.
Each episode, but I have to tell you,
they really brought it up a notch with the stories and the emotions, and they're really
one where I was just like,
it's really good. Yeah, season 3 highly recommend.
There's one episode where they all cry. Like they literally cry during their interviews, which does not happen. Like they were so. I feel like
they are such personalities, and they've been there. I feel like they're all over social media, and I feel like they're everywhere now. And I feel like they might, get too saturated, and people, like the public or even us as fans, might be like, "Oh, it's enough already." No, not
enough. Because then you watch them on the show, and it just feels very genuine. None of it feels put on or faked. Like they're really saying and doing things that they believe in, and so I think that's why it works for me.
That's a good rec. If you have not seen that, and I also want to recommend Working Moms. Becky, you brought it up last week. It's a fun show.
So good
on Netflix.
I would say the last scene of the first episode and the last scene of the last episode are both pretty perfect. Both pretty perfect. All right.
Okay. Well, Becky, where can people follow you?
On Twitter at PaperBKPrincess.
And Lily.
Chi K Gomez, just on Twitter.
And you can follow me at Pancake in the number 4 table. On Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us at FridayNightMoviePod.com. We will be at the All-Star Comic-Con in June 2019, June 7th, 8th, and 9th. The music of What Does It Eat will kick in and carry us out, and it was great talking to you guys. Have a great week.
Have a great week.
Bye.
At 30 minutes, I'm just going to be like, okay, love you guys, bye. You guys can finish. I'll do my shout outs and my handle at the beginning of the episode.